Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Druid Cleric build guide from Baldur's Gate 3. Now both these classes are going to be using Wisdom, making them a pretty nice synergetic combination. If we start with the Cleric, or if we add the Cleric in at any time, we will get heavy armor, so that's something that's really nice about this build. But we're going to start with the Druid, because the Druid seems to have a better start. It gets Shillelagh at an early level, which allows us to imbue our club and make it a Wisdom-based attack roll, which is really nice, and this is a bonus action. So we also get Thorn Whip, pulls a creature 3 meters closer, can knock them off of cliffs. It's quite nice. As for our ability scores, we're going to obviously lean heavily into Wisdom. If this is your Tav or Dark Urge, I would recommend using the Hag's Hair on your Wisdom to take it up to 18, and then your first ability score can round it off at 20. So if that's the case, leave it at 17. If not, we'll go with 16 there. And then we want to have a decent Constitution, and having a good amount of Dexterity is also useful because this is going to give us an increased armor class. So we can go with something like this for stats. You can alternatively take the Dexterity to 14 and put it into Constitution, but we're going to roll with this for our stats at level 1. Now, I'll be going over the gear options for this build at the end, so you can stay tuned for that. But at level 2, we're going to go with the Circlet of this land. I thought about using the Circle of Spores. It could work, but for the purpose of this casting build, we're going to go Circle of the Land. It has some interesting synergy with this build, so yeah, we get our wild shape forms, so Badger, the Wolf, the Spider, and the Cat. And then we also get the Natural Recovery. You can expend spell slots while out of combat. As for our cantrips, I would recommend going with Produce Flame. You can throw this and it deals fire damage, which is kind of nice. Guidance is another good cantrip to go with, but if you have someone that already has Guidance, I would recommend taking another one. But Guidance can be a good cantrip to go with. As for our spells, this is where the build gets interesting, because we get access to Create Water, which allows us to actually have some Nova damage. Healing Word is another really nice one. Heal a creature you can see up to 18 meters as a bonus action. So if you have a teammate that went down, you can use this to heal them. That's really nice to have. I also really like Longstrider, but if you have someone at camp that can do this, that's another way about going about it. And Speak with Animals is another nice spell. This is a ritual, so it lasts until long rest. Someone should always have Speak with Animals on your team. Now, since we have Create Water, Ice Knife is actually a pretty attractive option because the cold damage will be doubled. And yeah, honestly, Longstrider is a really good spell, and Thunderwave can be very situationally good, but we're going to get it from another source. Same with Fog Cloud. If we add in the Tempest Cleric, we get both Fog Cloud and Thunderwave at level 1. That's why I'm not touching on them right now, because we will get them elsehow. But they're really good early on in the game, so if you're leveling all the way up, I would recommend taking Fog Cloud, as it's kind of like a globe of invulnerability of sorts. But we'll go with that, since we're going to be getting those from the Cleric. At next level, we get ourselves a choice of a Circlet of the Land. So we get some pretty nice ones. Arctic will give us the Hold Person, which is great crowd control, plus Spike Growth. Misty Step is another good spell to get. But I do think that the best option here is the Arctic with Hold Person and Spike Growth. We would normally get Spike Growth from leveling up, but being able to take it and have it always prepared is pretty nice. So we don't have to even take it out of here. And then we can go with something like Flaming Sphere. Heat Metal is another good one. And Moonbeam's pretty good. 2d10 of Radiant damage is quite nice. You can use an action to move the beam 18 meters too, so it's good if you don't have a lot of spell slots, but we have pretty good amount. So we'll deal with something like that. The nice thing about Flaming Spear is you can use it as a someone to take hits for you early on when we don't have any summons. Now our wild shape forms are pretty nice just to be able to help with survivability. We'll take Produce Flame there, and then for our spell we can go with Moonbeam. Flame Blade's also pretty good too, but we get our feat here at next level, so that can be taken our Wisdom up to 18. And again, if you have the Hag's Hair, this will make your Wisdom 20, which is really nice to have early on. We also get our Wild Double Attack and Wild Shape at level 5, which is awesome, and we get some really good spells. So Call Lightning is 3d11 lightning damage, and we can expend a spell slot to recast this. So our greatest damage option early game is to do Call Lightning. So we're going to continually call down lightning, and it can be done as a concentration to continue using it without expending spell slots, which we don't have a whole lot of level 3 when we get 2 of them at level 5. So this is a good damage option. We also get the Circle of the Land. Now, Haste is a really good spell to get here. Let's see what we can get. Daylight and haste. Lightning bolt is another really good spell, though. Honestly, as much as I really do like haste, I would recommend having a sorcerer that can twin haste, because you can put it on 2 creatures for 1 concentration, which is really good. So I think that lightning bolt's actually a good choice. And then we also get grand fly, which is, it's decent, give you the ability to fly for 10 turns. You can do this outside of combat, put turn-based mode on, and then you can fly around. Lightning bolt is pretty good too. And for our prepared spells, we can take Call Lightning, which has great synergy with Create Water. And we also get a Lightning Bolt, which is great. So lots of good choices for damage. Plant Growth is another really good crowd control. It quarters movement speed, and it does not require concentration. So we'll go with that. Sleet Storm is another option. And Sleet Storm is nice because it interrupts concentration of the enemy team. Now, the land stride difficult terrain, we don't get bothered by difficult terrain, which is really nice. And we get the owlbear at level 6. So we get another spike in terms of our output of damage. Panther's pretty good because it can prowl in invisibility. Now we're going to take Sleet Storm for our next spell here. As Sleet Storm is nice just if you need to interrupt concentrations of the enemy for any reason. And at our next Circle of the Land, we can get free Ice Storm and Minor Elemental, which is a pretty good one. And even Grasping Vine can be pretty good for crowd control with the Minor Elemental. So yeah, I do think that that's probably one of the better ones. Getting Ice Storm is good because it gives us another option for cold damage. But even Confusion can be pretty decent at times. But I'm going to go with this for the free summon in. And we're going to go with Conjure Woodland Being here. This is one of the best Druid spells, level 6, or level 7. Because it can summon in someone as well. And it can cast Spike Growth for us. So, very nice. And we can even take off like the Sleet Storm and take Confusion, because Confusion is a really good crowd control spell. Wall of Fire is also quite nice for fire damage if we want to go that route, but we're mostly going to be working with Create Water to double our damage and do lightning spells. And then for our next level, we can go with, we could even take Firewall. I think it's a pretty good spell overall. Grasping Vine can be pretty decent too, a bonus action, summon a giant vine capable of dragging creatures towards itself. So you can use this to kind of, there's some usage in this that makes it pretty interesting. We're going to take Wall of Fire just for pure damage because it can be useful. And for our next feat, Warcaster can be good to use Shocking Grasp reaction and advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration, but I think the best one to go with is Alert for the +5 to initiative, because getting to go first is huge and you can't be surprised. It's also massive. Now for this, the purposes of this, since I wasn't able to get my wisdom up with the Hag's Hair on this, we're going to take that, but take Alert if you do have the Hag's Hair, because +5 initiative is huge. Now level 9 Circle of the Land, we get ourselves the ability to get Cone of Cold, which I think is probably one of the best spells that we can get here. So with the prepared level 5 spells, we can normally get these for options. With this, we can pick some of the ones that we normally would get, but I think that taking this Cone of Cold, this works with our Create Water, because this can deal upwards of 128 damage at max. So really nice, and Cone of Cold hits in a large area. So that's what we're going to go with for our prepared spells. We'll take Conjure Elemental, and Cure Mass Wounds is pretty decent if you have certain items that can buff your heals up. Insect Plague is nice piercing damage for crowd control, and if you have someone that can give vulnerability to piercing damage, it's really great. So it actually is good alongside some builds. Now at level 10, this is where we get our extra Wild Shape attack. And we get Nature's Ward, can be charmed or frightened by elementals and fae. Poison and disease do not affect you, and we get the Dilophosaurus. And we get another level 5 spell. So what we can also do is we can add in the Cleric at this level. For cantrips, Resistance, Sacred Flame, Thaumaturgy is pretty good. Domain. I think the Tempest Domain works the best here because we get ourselves the Thunder Wave and the Fog Cloud, but we also have the Wrath of the Storm reaction, which is a 2 to 16 lightning damage, which can be doubled, which is really nice. For the Deity, it's up to you for your own personal choice. And then for our prepared spells, I think Command is a really great spell to have using our Wisdom stat. You can take Create Water with the Cleric or with the Druid. It's up to you entirely. Healing Word is a nice heal, but I'd rather take that with the Druid to get higher benefits from it. We'll take Bless, because Bless is awesome. Sanctuary is another great spell. Guiding Bolt can be useful to add attack rolls to give advantage on certain allies, and then Shield of Faith is pretty good too. So we'll take those, I guess, for the level 1 Cleric. Now, this is where we can go two different ways. We could go and take our level 2 Cleric and get the Destructive Wrath. When you roll Thunder or Lightning damage, you can use your Channel Divinity to deal maximum damage. So with our Lightning Bolt, we can make that do massive amounts of damage. That is a really good way of doing it. So level 2 Cleric, you pretty much max out your level 1 spells here, but we can alternatively take level 10 Druid. You can do 3 levels of Cleric. I think it's best to go with this here, and it definitely has moved our spells around, so we'll go back and reselect them. But our heal is going to be a little bit better, kept on the Druid side of things. Go with Long Strider, Flaming Sphere. The only annoying thing is these do move your spells around whenever you switch between specs, so you just have to go and put them back on here. And we'll go with something like that. And then our next level, this is where you get our level 6 spells. So we could go with this for the split. It just depends if you want the Hero's Feast, although you can have someone on your team do Hero's Feast for everyone and then leave them behind at camp. So I would just recommend doing that. The max heal there is pretty good, 70 healing. Sunbeam can be useful, Wall of Thorns, and even Windwalk has some usefulness. I do think it's best to actually go with this extra level of Cleric, because this Destructive Wrath is actually really, really good. So for our prepared spells, I guess really just take whatever you can there. And yeah, what makes this build super powerful is we are a full caster. We get some Wild Shape charges to be able to, like, if we get in trouble, we can literally just Wild Shape away and go into like our, I would recommend like the owlbear form, it's pretty good, or the Dilophosaurus. So those are two options that are pretty decent that we can run into. We have 134 health, but with this we have 94. So being able to press the oh crap button and go owlbear form is actually really useful, because this makes us a tank also. So we have 94 health there, which is a good amount of health to soak through. So then once we come out of there, we still have 135 health with the Amulet of Greater Health, which will give us advantage on Constitution saving throws, so we can hold our concentrations, which is awesome. We have a 27 armor class with the Armor Persistence and the Cloak of Protection, Helm of Baldur, Evasive Shoes, and Ring of Protection, giving us a +1 armor class. Crypt Lord Ring gives us a level 6 Necromancy spell with Create Undead. This is another way to make us even tankier. We also have Flaming Spear. We also got our Ice Methods, which will benefit from Create Water, so this is actually nice because their damage will be doubled. And they get some pretty decent spells, like 12 damage, 24 damage, 16 damage, and that'll get doubled with Create Water, so that's nice. We also got our Lightning Bolt there, which we can use with our Channel Divinity. And we get one of those per short rest, so we can crank out a 48 damage Lightning Bolt, and it'll be doubled with Create Water, so that's 96 damage that we can just do with a straight line. That is really good. On top of all of this, we also have our Woodland Being, so we can summon this in. And what the Woodland Being is able to do is it can come and summon in its Fallen Lover, so it has even another summon here. So we got that going there, and this will be our Spike Growth caster, so you can literally use this just for Spike Growth, and it's really nice to be able to just set and forget with something like that. So the Woodland Being is a really great summon, and then we can also use something like if you have Us, and on top of all that, we can even bring in the Water Elemental, which can, this can even set up water damage for us, which is awesome. So with the Water Elemental, its main attack there, slam into a foe and create a puddle of water around the impact site. It has multi-attacks doing cold damage and Winter's Breath doing cold damage, so it benefits from the rest of our team here as well. And then also we got that Flaming Sphere too for the 10 turns, so that's another crowd control. We want to be mainly using Cone of Cold and Lightning Bolt for our damage. Early on we'd be doing Call Lightning, which is a pretty great spell, because when you do Call Lightning you can continually call it back down, so you can call it here, and then we can even use the Disruptive Wrath, which would make it do like 60 damage. And then the nice thing about that is you can continually call Lightning. So with the Destructive Wrath, it does a ton of damage, but there it is. This is a very interesting with the Druid and the Cleric combined together for a powerful class in Baldur's Gate 3. If you found this video useful, please hit that subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.